Hello everyone. This is to introduce basic Python. So my name is Vida. I'm going to make this first tutorial, introduction to Python. So let's start with running a small simple program on a code editor, an IDE, integrated development environment called PyCharm, using Python language. And from there, we will start to learn step by step. Okay, let me run that first. So this program is basically going to ask two input numbers and it will calculate the total and it will display that total. So let me click on run button of the PyCharm, the IDE. So it's asking to enter your first number in the terminal. So I'm going to enter something like 38 and press enter. Now it's asking to enter the second number. So I'm going to enter something 73 and press enter. Now it's displaying the total of 38 and 73. So 38 plus 73 is 111. Okay, this is a very basic simple Python program to show you guys. Now we will go step by step how to learn the Python. So basics of Python. So first thing, like we will start with the introduction from what coding language is and like what type of coding language is available and which category Python language falls into, like that we will see. So first of all, a coding language means step-by-step instruction you give to computer to do some task, and that instruction can be understandable by the computer. So in the same language, computer talks. So example, if you are talking English, so other person also have to talk in English, then only you will understand that instruction. Example, if I ask you to go and open the front door, you will do it if you understand English only. Otherwise, you cannot. If I talk in a different language which you don't understand. So the same thing here. So if you have to give an instruction to the computer, first of all, you should talk in the same language. That's why we had to learn coding languages. Okay. Now, let me take, right. We have different category of coding languages. Depends on the purpose of that one. The most common way we can categorize the coding language is, we can actually categorize into three, but actually you should know like two things. Okay. One is machine language. Other one is high level language. In between, we have another one called assembly language. So machine languages are more closer to the computer machine level, and high level languages are more closer to the human, easy to understand, read and understand by the human, mostly on English language. So like easy uh, terms like print, input, something like that. Machine language is the only language called binary. That means 0 and 1. That means machine can, any computer or any machine, robot or whatever, can understand only 0 and 1. That means there's a power coming to them, means 1. If there is no power, 0. Then high-level languages are like an example, Python. Python is one of the high-level language. Not only Python, there are several other languages like Java, C, C++, like that. This is more easy for human to understand because you cannot write a program in zeros and one. it will take too much of time and very hard to understand that one. So we have some syntax and uh, like terms and all to write it in human understandable form, and that can be converted to machine languages. That's why we use IDE, Integrated Development Environment, where you have a code editor which can do the compiling and make it. So the assembly language, you can think something in between for you to like translate your high level language to machine language. Right. But we are not going to deal much with this one or this one because Python is a high level language. Python is one of the high level language. There are so many other high level languages available too. Right. Then now let's go again to the IDE, which is the Integrated Development Environment. Here I quickly show you an example, but there are so many things I didn't explain you. Num1, num2, sum. Then there's some command called print, and some are written into the double quotation, some are without double quotation, and there are brackets given. So everything having a meaning. You had to follow some rules to write the coding. Otherwise, it will throw an error. Example, let me take out this double quotation and one bracket. Now you see there is a red color error mark is coming. Also, if I run, see it's giving an error. Okay, so it's showing where the error is in line number 1. So line number 1, there is an error. Okay, so that's a syntax error. So we will learn this further, like more detail. So before that, you have to understand few things to do this debugging and all those stuff. So for the very first step, to write Python coding, you need to install Python into your computer. Second thing, you need to install this IDE, Integrated Development Environment, to write the code. But there are some other ways also. You can do it without installing and without having the IDE also you can do it. That we will see later on. Now let's see how we can install Python language. Okay. So before that, you have to do one thing. You have to check in your computer you already have Python or not. So for that, if you are having a Windows operating system, Windows computer, unfortunately I don't have Mac to explain on Mac, but this is Windows. You can go to the search bar in the taskbar. You know, like in the Windows, there's a bottom, there will be a taskbar. There you can see next to the Windows icon, there's a search. You have to type CMD. CMD means command prompt. So once you type it, you will see the first option, command prompt. Click on it. Once you click on it, it will allow you to type. So you have to type here Python ---- version. And if you press enter, if it shows something like that, Python 3.14 or whatever, 3.11 or whatever, that means you have Python already installed, because in my machine, I already have Python. Otherwise, if you don't have it, it doesn't show this version. It will say not found. So in that case, you know you don't have Python in your computer. So you have to install it. Right. Next step, we will see how to install Python. It's very simple. You can go to any browser you have. It can be a Google Chrome, or it can be a Edge, but Microsoft Edge. It can be anything, whatever you use. Go to the browser and search install Python. Okay. So when you type that download or install Python, the very first option coming, python.org. Please install from here. Like that is very important. This is the website you have to go, python.org, and click on download. So when you click on download, there are few things available. There are few ways to go and install it, but the easy way is to say looking for Python with different OS. Python for Windows. So I have to download Windows, but if you have Mac OS, that Apple computer, you have to click on Mac OS. Or if you have Android or Linux, Unix, depends on your operating system, you have to choose the right link. So I'll click on Windows because I have Windows machine. After that, if you see, there are some stable versions. It's saying Python 3.4.14.2. So that is the most stable, latest version. Okay. And here you will see Windows installer 64-bit. Okay. You have to make sure your Windows OS is 64-bit or 32-bit. How you can identify that one? Go to your folder and go to your PC. In your left hand side, there's this PC. Right click. Go to the properties and scroll down. In the device specification, you will see the system type. So if it's a 64-bit operating system, then you have to download the 64-bit. If it shows 32-bit, then you have to download the 32-bit. Right. Let's go back. And now I'm going to download Windows Installer 64-bit because my machine is 64-bit. So it will allow you to save it. I already downloaded, I already installed, so it's there. So I'm not going to click on save. In your case, you have to click on save. So once you click on save, it will get download. So now the download is done. So after download is done, you can directly double click here, or you can go to the folder and you can double click. Okay. So for me, it's coming as upgrade now because I already installed. But when you are installing first time, it will say install now. And there'll be two check boxes under. It's very important. You have to check both check box. It's very important because you have to show the path. So those two check boxes, when you are installing first time, you have to check it and then you have to click on the install now. Okay. So after that, it will start installing it. The installation will take few minutes, like maybe 5 minutes maximum. So once you are done with installation, if you go back to the command prompt and if you now type Python hyphen version, it should show you like this, Python 3.40, the whatever the latest version you installed. So as of today, that means 2026 January 27th, the latest version is 3.14, but it might change time to time. Okay, in future, maybe after 6 months, it might be 3.15, right? So only thing, the version might change, but the other than that, it should look like this one, right? Now we are installed with the Python. Now, next step is we need a code editor. With the Python, there's a default code editor, but I recommend you to use the code editor called PyCharm. So to use PyCharm, you have to download and install the PyCharm. So again, the same way, you have to go to the browser, Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, whatever, and search install PyCharm. PyCharm Community Edition. I will tell you what is the difference between Community Edition. So for us to use it for free, and we use just for one person, it's not a big team or whatever. So the Community Edition is enough. But if you are working in a company, it's enterprise, then you have to go for the Enterprise Edition, which you had to make a payment. Download PyCharm, Python IDE for data science. Oh, this is by the JetBrains company. So you have to install from JetBrains company. That is the right place. I'm going to install for the Windows. So for Windows, if you are Mac OS, you have to search to Mac Linux and you can download it and you have to install it. Please note that I already have the PyCharm, so I'm not going to now download and install it for you. Okay, now let me go back and let me show you how the PyCharm will look like. So when you are installing PyCharm, if you check the checkbox to create a shortcut in the desktop, then you will have the shortcut on the desktop. Else, you can go here and search PyCharm. Okay. So it will show you the PyCharm Community Edition. So let me open this one. So it's open this, but when you are opening very first time, you don't see any projects here. It will be the empty one. So you have to create your own project. So to create your own project, you can go to this hamburger mark and say new project, and you can give a name to your project. And don't worry about these things now, GitHub repository or whatever, because you are just very beginning. Just leave only the name you have to give. Other than that, everything else, please leave as it is and click on create. So it will create the new project. I already have Python project 6, so I don't want to create a 7th one. So then after you create the project, you can right click on this one and go to new and select Python file. So it will allow you to create your own new Python file. Here you can give a name, my first Python program. Okay, and then you just simply press enter. So you will create a new Python file to type program. So usually the Python file will have .py extension. That means it's Python. Okay, and it is saved. For me, it's in my folder PyCharm projects, Python project 6 and demo. These are for the demo, and like hello world, there are different names I have. So now I created was the first Python program, right? So now I think you guys are a little bit familiar with this one. And also the other basic thing you should know about this IDE, Integrated Development Environment. This is called terminal. I'll delete this one. Now when I run this program, you will see the terminal is coming. And it's asking to enter the first number because I'm running my demo VIDA project. Now, if I want to delete this whatever display in the terminal because you want to run again, so you don't want to disturb the previous display, you can click on this clear all. Okay, then you can run again. Now let me delete these pages. Okay, now I'll stop because it's still running. So as I didn't enter the first number and I just stop, it's giving the error message, but it doesn't mean the code has error. Then after you type it, so each line will be comment 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can run here. There's a run button. You click on run and see the outcome. If you want to debug, you can. So these are the shortcuts actually, but you can go here and there are different menu will appear. So here also under the run, you can run the program or debug the program. Not only that, there are so many other options you have to learn one by one. But when you are very beginner and starting, these are enough. How to create a new project, how to create a new file, Python file, and you should be able to understand when you hover over here, it will show where it's saved, this file, where the location is. And also you should be able to know how to run the program, how to debug. Don't worry, that we will learn later. And also when you run, where you will get the display, where you will get the outcome. Okay, that's pretty much enough for the very beginning introduction. So far what you learn is like what is coding language and what category Python language is coming under. And to start with Python, you need to install two things. One is the Python, other one is the integrated development environment. we used PyCharm, but there are several IDEs available in the world. But for the beginners, I will recommend PyCharm to start with. So we learned like how to install Python, how to install PyCharm, and how to use the PyCharm IDE as a beginner. Like there are so many things to learn step by step, but as of now, you have to know only these basics. See you guys till we meet on the second lesson about data types, variables, and further things. Bye for now. Okay, now we are going to see the last part of the introduction about uh, code editor as well as IDE. What's the difference? Because like you might get confused. Different teachers use different code editors and they use different ways. So why is that? Okay, so please be clear about that one. So if you take, like there are two things we are talking about. One is called just a code editor. Other one is called IDE. Other one is IDE, which is called integrated developer okay. So this one and this one, the difference is this is very lightweight. Mostly it's focused only to allow you to write the code, edit the code, those kind of things only. But performance wise is faster. IDE is to use it's an integrated development environment. So not only writing the code, you can debug, you can have build versions, build automation, test automation, and you can integrate with the GitHub for the like a version control as well as working as a team. So it has so much complex uh, features to do it, but comparatively it's a slow performance. And for the beginners, only the code editor might be enough, but still we prefer to go with the IDE and use only the IDE basic uh, features. Then later on, you can continue with the advanced features when you grow and when you learn more complicated or when you are doing real world projects. Right. So let's see few examples of Python code editor slash IDE famous in the, usually you will hear about those names. So let me go here. So these are few popular code editors. So Visual Studio Code, usually people call VS Code. So for sure, if you are learning Python or any coding, text-based coding language, for sure you might be aware of. This is not only for the Python, you can write HTML, CSS, like other languages as well as. This is developed by Microsoft Corporation. PyCharm. PyCharm is an integrated development environment. This is specifically for Python. So usually when you are learning Python, this is specific for the Python coding. And other one you might hear very commonly, Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook. Also another one called Google Colab. These are web-based ones. It's very like easily you can just a browser base, you can give the URL and you can do the coding, edit and all. Other one is Tony. Tony, usually you don't hear about this much, but if you are doing something with Raspberry Pi, yeah, like if you are learning some robotic courses and you are using Raspberry Pi to write Python, then you might be familiar with this code editor. And idle is usually by default, it comes with Python. Like when you install Python to your computer, it will be by default, it will be there. So without installing any code editor, you can use this one to write the code in the beginning, right? But we are going to use PyCharm. So in your school, some teachers might use this Jupyter Notebook or like a Google Colab. Uh, Anything is okay at the when you are a high school student, it doesn't matter actually. But if you are like from the beginning, if you start to use the IDE, when you are growing and when you go to university or like you are going to the work, it will be more helpful for you. Those time in the real work environment, you can't use just a simple code editor. You really need a IDE, integrated development environment. Okay, so this is one of the other thing you should be able to understand what you are doing. Thank you.